Okay, next up, we're going to talk about body and mind maintenance. So, in terms of maintenance, I see it really in two parts. First part is repair. So, repair from things that have gone wrong. So, similar to a house, at times, it gets run down, doors creak, windows creak, roofs leak, and they need to be repaired. Similarly to us, we need to go through a repair process. When we get tight muscles, subtle injuries, RTB issues, Achilles, just things not operating as they should do. We need to go through some maintenance to correct those. The other part is I would call transformational. Is where we need to develop something faster than we typically do it in your typical training sessions. So it's something like, if from season to season you realize you need to get your watts per kilo up on the bike, so you actually need to physically build stronger leg muscles, quads, glutes, or we really need to drop back on maybe our weight, and we can actually go through focused periods of maintenance, taking 6 weeks, 8-week blocks, and really have a focus on making a transformational change of some manner. Similar to a house, we might do an upgrade of the windows or a patio or things like that. We're actually building a capability that we've been typically weak at or haven't had before. So those two sides, on the maintenance side, it really is important to be aware of your body and how it's performing, and any niggles you may have or restrictions that may be developing, and hitting those early. Right. So it can come down to simply, you feel things tightening up and restricting you, getting in for a massage, getting into the physio for a checkout and just get those muscles extended, or doing some exercise, some functional exercises to ensure that you're keeping good biomechanics, your alignment, your biomechanical alignment is true. It's about doing functional exercises that include balance, full range of motion, and maybe things like single leg lunges and crossover type exercises that are actually building your core. So your core stability, so you maintain balance, good alignment, good posture while you're exercising. Really important to do those things. In terms of when we actually get injuries, really focusing on those injuries really early when they start developing. If you start getting RTB issues, tenderness or Achilles or the typical injuries, catch them really, really early and stop pushing them through the constant training you normally do. Get them addressed early and then come back to your exercise. There's always other things we can do in terms of training, like developing force and power without actually going through the rigors of the normal exercise of running while we get them addressed. Injuries should be addressed really early before they actually become true injuries. While they are niggle, get them addressed early, get them fixed, see a physio, a medical practitioner, and get advice, and get them addressed. And you don't have to keep training. You don't lose a lot from training if you step back for the number of days, even if it's up to 2 weeks, to get a niggle or a developing injury addressed early. You'll lose more by trying to train through injuries than just stopping for a little while and getting things addressed. Maintenance in that light is really important. So we're talking functional exercise as a preventative, making sure biomechanics are pure. We're talking injury management. It's also more subtle things like active recovery. So if you do a big session, a big brick session, or a strong threshold run, it's good to actually afterwards, in the following days, do some active recovery and making sure we recover fully by generating good circulation, having good nutrients and getting those through the body before we actually do any more high intensity exercise and re-stress those muscles. So yeah, active recovery definitely a good part, a strong part of maintenance. Making sure we have recovery periods built into our programs. So yeah, as I said, any big sessions, make sure you've got a recovery window afterwards. Every couple of weeks, typically every fourth week should be a lower week, so our bodies can actually recover from what we've been pushing it through through a build phase or any strong training. And then even every year, after our primary season, taking a couple or a few weeks off from training and letting our body fully recover and develop that hunger again. So that's all physical. There is what I'd call mindset maintenance as well. As we go through training, particularly in endurance training, we build habits and behaviors along the way. It's not just a journey of the physical. We'll find that we're actually developing strong habits and getting up early, turning up, and sometimes we can get into a bit of a rut of just going through the same routines all the time. But as our behaviors and habits build, we should be looking back and saying, are you making effective use of your time? As your capabilities build, could you actually be working harder on your high intensity to actually develop more force? Should you be getting more rest as your intensity increases and your the stress and the load you're pushing through your body increases? Should you be getting more recovery? And constantly looking into your mindset that you're actually taking to your training sessions. Can you push harder? Are you asking too much of your body? Should you be backing off a bit? Using those habits and behaviors you're developing and readdressing and finding out how you can be more effective. It's called, I call it mindfulness. It's how you being really conscious about what you're doing, taking the learnings that you're developing each and every day, every week, and remapping them back into your program and your training. It's essential maintenance and just understanding that we're growing as people as you're training. It's not just the physical that's changing, and as we learn things about ourselves, our physical body and our training and how effective it is, during a review and remapping those back into the process. Quite often we fall into plateaus where we suddenly realize we're going through the training but we're not really improving. It's very easy to say, well, I only have so much time, therefore the training I'm doing is all I can do. That's to be honest, it's not going to serve you well, and it's actually bullshit. If you actually really look closely as to how you can actually approach training, there's always changes you can make to become more effective. If you look at some of the successful people, Elon Musk, he's got the same amount of hours in a day, yet he's running multiple businesses, successful businesses. Bill Gates has got hundreds of businesses that he owns. He's highly effective with his time. Now training, we can actually become a lot more effective by really focusing on what we're doing and changing things up. In terms of transformational changes, is every year what you should be doing is identifying one or two things where you can actually transform to another level. So rather than going through the typical endurance, high intensity and durability training model, you can actually focus and say, this year I actually want to develop my power to weight on the bike. I really want to develop good muscle strength in my quads and actually build up a lot more muscle fibers so I can power the bike. And you can go through an 8-week block in the off season to actually build muscle capacity, literally volume in your muscles, which aren't going to build during a typical training phase in terms of running and riding. You'd have to take some time out to go to the gym and do some really concentrated exercise, possibly on the trainer, to develop muscle tone, muscle strength and muscle fiber. Might have to eat differently for a while. You may even want to go through a period in the off season where you actually want to drop weight. Very difficult to actually drop weight significantly if you're in a full training program. But if you want to do it as a short, sharp exercise, 8 week to 12 week block. This is what the Tour de France cyclists do. They'll go through a period in the off season where they really focus on dropping weight and then rebuilding strength in their legs and almost remodeling their body so they can actually be better next year, lighter for the hills but bigger muscles for the power to weight. And they don't necessarily do that all the time in their training in their lead up to the Tour de France, but they take periods in the off season where they'll focus on specific areas of the body to transform it into something else way above the capability they previously had. It is about taking focus, and I call that transformational maintenance, where you want to get to the next level. You'll have to go through a block where you actually change something significantly, so that when you get back to your next training leading into a race season, your base training, your typical base and build, you actually bring that transformation into it. You already have the bigger muscles to actually train through and carry through the typical training models. Same as when you drop the weight, you can actually then start your next 18-week preparation for your race as a lighter figure. So you're actually building, working with that frame into your training session. So maintenance is absolutely essential for endurance sport. To be aware of your body, exactly the niggles that you're getting and what's working and what isn't, and maintain any niggles you have in terms of strength, functional strength, so that you're building resilience into the muscles, good biomechanics, and then also just fixing up what is starting to break down in terms of massage, injury management, etc. And then the transformational changes, making some key focus areas where we're actually building capability rather just improving the capability. Growing bigger muscles, developing skills. Even there might be a skills block of how to race downhill, how to run, how to swim in rough water. Take blocks of periods for transformation, and it's all about maintenance, about our strengths, our weaknesses, building new strengths and building new capabilities. So a really important part of training. It moves us slightly away from the typical week in, week out type of models, and the focus is on typical sessions. But it's a really good idea to actually, I compare it to your house or your car. You've got maintenance to do, and you also want to actually improve your house as well over time. Upgrade the kitchen, you upgrade your legs.